Greetings and welcome to Matrix Revealed presentation 21. We've now got to 5 o'clock in the morning and I've managed to upload the previous two videos. They're now on the channel, and in all that time, despite going to bed, the achiness was not going to allow me to sleep, and I just laid there and thought, well, there's so much I didn't say, and thought, I missed that piece out. I've not even heard or played back presentation 20 and heard it myself yet. So bear with me while I try and pick up the pieces. So Anton Bruckner. Bruckner in English means bridge or bridges, and he certainly is just that. He is that link between source in sound and this physical realm. And the finale of his last symphony, he never managed to actually complete the finale, but there is sufficient music to get a very good idea from reconstructions by various composers in their own right of today. Plenty on YouTube to choose from. Something else, while we're on the subject of music now, Wagner, his last music drama. A music drama is very different from an opera. Yes, they do sound the same with the high-pitched sopranos and all the other sections, but the fundamental difference is Wagner was going for the total artwork. So the words, the music, the acting, the back scene, the whole encompassing, bringing all the arts together, taking it back to the idea of the Greek amphitheatre. And you'll still see today Wagner's ideas with the sunk orchestral pit, so they're not in the way of what's going on the stage, and the way the sound carries and things. A lot of Wagner's ideas are what you see in cinemas, with the way the sound is projected and the big screen. Now his last work, you'd think on the face of it that Parsifal, though being overtly seeming to be Christian, it's all about purity of blood and the pure fall. Now you'd think that would have been right up the street of the Third Reich with their whole Aryan idea, but the opposite was the case. It was the least performed music. Now, big clue in this, Amfortas, who has a wound. In this story, it is the spear that was the final kill of this Jesus on the cross. Well, look at the name Amfortas. So he is, as a fort, he is a military mindset, and the balsam, the psalm of Baal, will not heal that wound. And it takes the pure fall, the Parsifal, to actually sort things out in this, because the pure fool is aloof, he's ignorant, he's not been controlled by an education system. He can think for himself, and his mind isn't filled with a load of rubbish. Because we've got the fountain of all knowledge, we've got Wikipedia, let's face it, and you can always get information from the likes of NASA. Or you can go to the dentist, like these are the guys that put the mercury fillings in. So yeah, I'm really going to trust them. And of course the Parsifal is all about the Holy Grail, the Grail cup, which is a Y, and on its side it's a C. Because don't forget, when you're in a restaurant, it's polite or customary to tip, but you don't want to spill it all out, just a little bit, to show your appreciation. So it's interesting how all these words and phrases will all come into their own, and just, it's just come to me as I'm sort of thinking about this. I mean, to what level will somebody stoop? Well, what if we're talking about pre-mud flood existing levels below ground that are now concealed, because they take things to a whole new level, quite literally, and then put compressed mud down, and eventually pavements and roads will come along. But you've got to think about with Tartaria as well. You've got, even with what's left, you've got the building blocks, the foundations, to rebuild upon, already there for us. We just got to claim them back. You'll find all institutions, they'll always mention about being founded. Well, yeah, they were found dead because there was nothing there. They're just empty buildings, and they stick their own memorial plaques on them. And you'll see the repeat pattern with all these old buildings. Generally, it's accepted that when the mayor or whichever celebrity or dignitary comes along, they lay the first stone. And it's surprising how you can't find a newspaper article with a sketch, let alone a photograph, of showing these fantastic structures being built, simply because the history is an absolute lie. There's no two ways about it. That is pretty clear. We've just got to reverse engineer it and take back our power. But because this is what the age of Aquarius is all about. We acquire us. We take back our power. This is all going perfectly the way it is meant to go. So don't be giving in to no 5G shit or chemtrails and all that crap, because it won't affect you as long as you lose the fear and you do the inner work. Everything, as Christine has explained on Holographic Multiverse channel, the answer to everything is always yes and no. So which way is north? Well, it can be up, and it is up within us. But it's also down, because everything's flipped over. And it's not just Australians, you could say, that are actually upside down. It's all of us. We're on, in some ways, you could say, the underside of the plane. Where are we going with this? I'm losing my train of thought there a little bit. Oh dear. Get my thoughts back in a minute. Yeah, so where did I get to? We've done about Parsifal. We've done about Bruckner and being bridges. I'm backtracking. A brief glimpse of thought processes and how they go. Yes, orchestras as well. You notice you have a conductor. Think in terms of energy with this. Now, what is a sinfonia? Is it a sin of the phonies? And what is a philharmonic? Philharmoon, I see. There's lots of ways you can read these things. I'm not saying it's one way or the other. You can put whichever way you want to see it, from whichever side, from whichever angle you want to go with this, because you are all angels, all angles anyway. If you find it and recognise it within yourself, this is the critical thing with all of this. This spiritual journey is all about going within, because that is where all the answers are. I'll give you a case in point now. Let's pick on Matt on Quantum of Conscious. Matt, you've got to get rid of all your Star Wars films. And you'll say, no, I can't do that. What's stopping you getting rid of them? It's only one thing, and that's yourself. And this is the thing with a lot of this. We are our own worst enemies. We bring things upon ourselves. Because don't forget, all these things we hold on to, whether they're because they've got sentimental value to them, at the end of the day, you can't take it with you anyway, and the spiritual path is all about letting go. It's basically a case of if I had to pay what was due and was hit by a due, by something that rhymes with a due, and I say adieu, farewell, well, I don't lose anyway. But if it's a case of me just getting out that front door and gone, and all I'm wearing is all I've got, well, so be it. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a shit losing some of the things in a way, but is it really? It depends how you look at it with this. It's not a case, I don't think, of just get rid of everything and go out into the world totally penniless. We can work the system to our advantage and just change the game, rewrite the rules so we're running it for ourselves, become a cooperative rather than a busyness with a moon eye poly, a monopoly on things. Because this is really just a huge, great theme park. It's not just those electric parks with the rides. This is just one of many rides, this plane that we call Earth. There are other ones as well, and I can't help but think about the roundabouts and the carousels and the things that go round, and they've got poles on them as well, don't forget. And how much is, it seems there is so much encoded in everything, encode dead as well, as another example. Because you notice this is all founded on fear and death and debt and money. Debt is dead anyway. Interestingly, a lot of people, if you mention the word entities, they will think of aliens, little green men. Well, what about the other entities? The Bible, the government, the church, the state. Now, if one of you can point to this government or this church, because you'll see representations in buildings like government offices or the local church of wherever, dedicated to whatever saint. But that's not the church, is it? Any more than a book is the Bible. They're entities, in a way, you could say. They don't have a physical form. They are an agreed construct of the minds. Inflicted story on us, I agree, because none of us agreed or consented to being thrust into this open farm system that we have, where we are being continuously tricked. But I think it's fair to say that we can even leave aside, in some ways, the questions of a creator at this point, and just concentrate on doing the inner work. And you've basically got to send that spiritual oil back up. It's in your soul place, your solar plexus. So the first place it's going to go is downwards to the base when it hits rock bottom, and then it's from there you've got to send it back up. This is the imploded orgasm. Now, some of you have said a lot about that you're on your own, and you feel very isolated. Well, don't forget that alone is all one. And it's all part of this process to get you so you are happy being all one, and you can sit in silence and you don't need to be distracted with any outside interferences. You can just go within yourself and meditate, and you're perfectly happy with that, and the hours, the illusion of time will go, and it goes from there. It's all part of this process, so don't think it's what's happened to you is necessarily bad, because it always goes the opposite way first. So you want to send things up from the sun place, the solar plexus. Well, it's got to go down first before it goes up. It's like I've said before, the letter N. It rises, it falls, and it rises again. It's already done the descent, the claustrum, the center claustrum, where we get Santa Claus from, has already sent those gifts down to these other energy centers of the body. And you just got to listen to your gut feeling. Toto, the dog in The Wizard of Oz, for example, there's the gut feeling right there, because notice how the dog instinctively knows to pull the curtain back and reveal the man manipulating the strings. The dog knows to get out the basket. I think it was, from what Jamie said, because I haven't seen the film for years, it chases a cat. Well, it's still getting out of a situation. You've got a young girl being lured into a basket by an old man. They're showing it right there. I don't think all this sickness is anything new. We used to have a load of hogwash called Captain Pugwash. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with children's television programs from the 1970s, there was two characters on this ship with this Captain Pugwash. There was, you wait for it, there was Seaman Staines and Master Bates. But interesting word there, Master Bates, because that's something you do need to avoid doing, as in ejaculating and spilling your seed. Plant seeds of thought in the mind, but that's what you need to send that spiritual oil up. Again, I'm going to refer you to Mr. Astrotheology, Santos Bonacci channel and Freak Sense TV channel, because they can explain it far better than I can. I'm just going to give you a brief overview on this. This is the Gnostic teachings, basically, if you want to give it a label. I personally just don't accept any of these labels. It is what it is, because I am what I am, and the sooner we all realise this and come to our senses, not just five, but come to all our senses, then we will see the bigger picture. We're already making changes anyway. Remember that it is like a game of chess. The dark side has to make a move first to meet a reflection from the light side, which will reflect that back at the darkness. And this is the thing, darkness will destroy itself. It's the same with anybody you suspect as being controlled opposition. Just sit back and watch, just observe, and they will reveal themselves by things they say or do anyway. You don't actually have to call anybody out, although it is right, as I said before, if there is a message being put out there, because it is a huge responsibility to make sure what we're saying is right, and not giving false information or not being misled ourselves. And we do have to always continuously question. I don't say I've got everything right. I could be way off on it. My own ideas about the stars and everything being a reflection of something being projected upwards, for example, that's just my idea on it, that I think makes sense when you've got the moon and sun disk changing places. But there's something else there as well. The son of the sun is Saturn, which would have been regarded probably as the light by the night. It sort of makes sense. And there's always talk about the moon being an artificial construct anyway, and if this dark side has suppressed the knowledge and keeping us everybody away from that magnetic centre, that Maru at the North Pole, well then I'm quite sure they could project a false moon, which is actually, it should be Saturn, and it's got rings around it because it is running rings around us anyway. It's metaphorical, it's allegorical with all of this as much as anything else. It is astrology. It's also what's going on inside, because you've got 12 houses. You've got all the zodiac signs within you anyway, regardless of which one you are birthed into. Your actual, where you should start is your fertilisation, so you need to count back 9 from the star sign, the zodiac sign that you're in, to get what you really are. I know you've got birth charts and you need the location and the date, and it's not going to be very easy to find the other bit out, but there's something else to bear in mind. Our actual starting point, it's like a building. You don't see the foundations, you only see what is built on those foundations. So when we're birthed as a particular sign, it may be very different from our point of origin when the union of two created a third. There was probably more I wanted to say, but it's gone again. So it'll probably come back as soon as I finish this. Anyway, I shall say ta-ta for now, and thank you for listening. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that bell button. You know, see you again soon anyway.